Another great race, margin of victory, 4 thousandths. Give it to Steve Torrence, who for the first time in his Top Fuel career is also a Top Fuel points leader.
All right, Doug Johnson here with DragRace Texas Magazine at the palatial estates of Steve Torrence. Hey, this is a beautiful place. I appreciate you having me out. We're in Kilgore, Texas. First of all, congratulations on the huge win, Pomona, first race of the season. That was just amazing. It was a good win for you. Good way to come out, start the season, and we're going into Phoenix next week, or the Arizona race. So talk a little bit about this win and how exciting it was.
Yeah, this is a huge win for us just because it's first race of the season. So anytime you can come out, gain that momentum early and try to carry it through the season, it's a big benefit, and it's a big morale booster for all the guys and for me as a driver too. It's just a lot of confidence going into the following races. So hopefully we can build where we're at, keep going, and try to maintain the consistency of the car, because at Pomona, the first race of the year, we go out and we dominate through qualifying and through race day eliminations. There's no better feeling than that, and I hope that relates into the rest of the season and can carry that momentum.
Talk about the leading up to that race, the week of coming out of off season, big changes with adding Rio ammunition to the car, this team, and stuff like that. Talk about that week though. Was there a lot of preparation, a lot of hard? Was it a struggle, or did everything pretty go smoothly?
Well, preparation started when we left Pomona at the end of the season last year, and these guys worked their tails off to get that thing together. We got a brand new Morgan Lucas Racing chassis, put that car together, went out to Phoenix and tested the week before the race and made 9 laps out there. Everything went really well. Just kind of shook the car down for a few passes and then just tried to go out there and stand on it. We made some passes that were planned early shut-off runs, and a couple runs, one for certain and maybe 2 that would have been high 60s. So the car performed flawlessly. The guys were back in the routine, and I felt like we were loaded for bear when we went into Pomona. We had a good race car. We had a lot of confidence behind us, and the thing was hauling ass. So, we were excited about it, and I think right now we've got the car to be beat.
That's cool. So where'd you qualify at Pomona?
We were number 1 qualifier, and then we're low almost every session for race day.
That's amazing. So when y'all go to Phoenix like that, or Arizona like that, and test, and everybody's there, pretty much everybody was there, right?
Yeah,
testing. Do y'all get in the regular routine, try to get in a race day schedule?
Absolutely. These guys, they do the same thing day in and day out. So whether we're testing or racing or whatever, we try to stay at that performance level, get the car turned around quick, and that way they're in routine. They're not slacking off. And even between the semifinals and the finals in Pomona on race day, they had the car turned around and ready to fire up in 27 minutes.
That's pretty quick.
that's I would put them against any team out there. That's a really accomplished set of guys with a lot of experience, and they're good at their job.
Yeah, those NASCAR guys ought to be envious of that. Huh?
Yeah, they don't have to do anything but change tires.
Yeah, right. So taking on Rio ammunition was big this year, and coming into the season, what's your expectation, or what's your relationship with them, and talk about, and then of course Capco, your company.
Rio is a huge international company. They've just come into the States and made a big presence within the past few years, and then opening the new facility in Marshall, Texas. Being a Texas-based company, we had a lot of similarities. It's a family-based company over there in Madrid, Spain, and I developed a relationship with Patrick Thomas and some of the guys at the plant and all the managing directors, and felt like it was a good fit with Torrence Racing, with Capco, and that is our market. Those guys that are out there at the racetrack on any given weekend, they're also the same demographic of people like myself that are hunting and fishing and camping, so they enjoy that, and it's a close-knit network, and it relates well for what they're trying to do is sell shot shells, and what we're doing is racing. So really excited about the partnership. I think that we have a lot to bring to the table for them, and I think that we can help sell shot shells all over the U.S. And it's good for me as a brand lifestyle for the hunting industry, the sport shooting, clay shooting, trap shooting, all of those.
Yeah, obviously you're a hunter. We can see the background,
Yeah.
and it's pretty amazing here with all the animals on the wall, and what you like to do in your time off relates well to having.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a drag racer and I'm a hunter at heart. That's the two things that you could most uniquely define me as is Steve Torrence is a drag racer and a hunter. And when I'm not at the racetrack, I'm somewhere hunting something. I spent 21 days in British Columbia last year, a week in Mexico, and a month in South Texas. So I got my fill of the outdoors, and I'm ready to go back racing. But any opportunity that you can not find me at the racetrack, you're going to find me in the woods somewhere.
That's cool. So now that you're living the life, driving a top fuel dragster, kids dream of getting to that level. What's more fun, hunting or drag racing?
You know, hunting is an escape. Drag racing is my life. That's what I do day in and day out. And there's nothing more exhilarating than growing up your entire life wanting to be a pro race car driver, and then having that opportunity, like you said, that's a dream come true. And I'm just thankful every day that I get to go racing and do that for a job that, you know, I'm living my dream.
That's amazing. So it's living the dream. Now, for the kids out there that are maybe watching this or want to know, could you actually make a living driving a top fuel racer?
Yeah, you can. And it just, there's so limited opportunities to be able to do it, and so many people wanting to do it. But yeah, you can make a living doing it. It's not always the glamorous rock style life that what it appears on the outside. It's spending 2 days a week in the airports, flying back and forth, and living out of a suitcase. But it's you sacrifice some of the home life that you would normally have to be able to do that. And that comes along with anything you do, whether you're a pro football player or a baseball player or volleyball or whatever you want to do. I mean, if you're going to continue to do something as a career that is at a professional level, you have to sacrifice something. And as far as just the kids that are wanting to do it, yeah, there's plenty of opportunities to work in and amongst racing, whether it's driving the car, working on the car, tuning the car. There's a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah. So we mentioned Capco. Capco is your and your dad's construction company, build pipelines, and that's pretty much all y'all do is construct pipelines no matter what kind, right?
It's all oil and gas related, whether it's compressor stations or associated piping, the actual transmission lines, the pipelines themselves, whether it's 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, all the way up to 36-inch. We do all of that stuff, and it's the welding of the pipe, the clearing of the right-of-ways, the hydrostatic testing. We do all aspects of natural gas or oil pipelines, and that's this is our 21st year with Capco. My dad started it in '95 and has grown it into a very successful business. And even with the downturn right now of oil and gas industry, we're a very established company in this area, and we're able to continue on and maintain and continue going forward.
That was my next question, was going to be about the downturn. Being on the inside, do you see it coming up soon?
You know, I've never seen it this bad in my career, and I talked to my dad about it, and he says, you know, in the early 80s we had something very, very similar to this, maybe worse, and it'll eventually come back, but it just kind of depends on there's a lot of factors that it depends on, actually, and usually election years are always a little slow, so we're having a downturn in the trend of work, and then this is an election year, so it's kind of compounded. But I think ultimately, yeah, it'll be back. Maybe soon, maybe not as soon as what we want it to be, but it'll be back, and we'll continue working and going forward.
Very cool. So give us just one more thing about that. What's the biggest misconception about the Keystone line?
I don't know anything about it.
Anything about it? Okay, well, that's good enough. And not that this was supposed to be an interview about pipelining and stuff. I just wanted to hit on Capco because it's your major sponsor, obviously, and you want to, always promote the major sponsor. Now, let's go back, take a step back, and you came from Top Alcohol Dragster, comp racing before that. Talk about, you told me that you had been racing since 15. Give me a little bit of your history coming in and how you got into Top Fuel.
I started, all my life I grew up a competitive taekwondo. I traveled all over the U.S. in martial arts training, fighting, everywhere. And I started racing super comp with my dad when I was 15. I got a hardship license. I was going to high school up here, and I could drive from 7 in the morning to 7 at night, and that's the way that I was able to go around the loophole for having a driver's license and start racing. So I started Super Comp when I was 15, and I raced all the way from 15 until 2004 in Super Comp. In 2001, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer, which kind of put a huge damper on anything, my racing and everything. So to come through that battle, continue racing Super Comp, and didn't race as much, but enjoyed doing it with my dad. In 2004, I had an opportunity to go drive a top alcohol dragster for a guy named Tom Conway. Shelley Howard was driving the car and had gotten killed in a testing accident early in that year, and they decided that they wanted to continue to race. So they called me, and I said, "Hell yeah, I'll come drive the thing." And I'd already gotten my license, so I started driving the alcohol car in June of '05, and by Dallas that year, we had sewed up the championship completely. Nobody could catch us. So we went to 13 races, 11 finals, and won 9 of them. So it was pretty much like the only storybook season you could construct. The only way you could make it better was if you won everything. Yeah. The following year, we partnered up with Evan Knoll from Torco Racing Fuels, and the guy called me in the middle of the night and goes, "Hey, let's go Top Fuel racing. Shut down the whole alcohol deal. You tell them somebody else is going to drive it, and let's go Top Fuel racing." So I flew to St. Louis and got in J.R. Todd's dragster, got my license on Monday after the race, and kind of that was the story from there. And I raced top alcohol intermittently between 06 and 08, 09, and then I raced full-time in 10, and I started racing in 11 with a team, Dexter Total Motorsports. At the Houston race, we collectively as a family decided that we were going to start Torrence Racing, our own Top Fuel program, and campaign a full schedule and just have control of our own destiny of what we were doing and the parts and the pieces and the people that were involved with us. And so we started the Top Fuel team in 2011, and this is, I guess, our 5th year running a full schedule with the fuel car.
That's amazing. That's a big step to just say, okay, we're going to create our own team and buy a facility in Indy and get an engine program or whatnot. Did you lease your engines or?
The fuel cars are different than anything with Pro Stock or anything like that. We build all engines in-house, and so do any other Top Fuel team. You buy the parts and pieces, and you assemble them. We tear them down every lap. They go to a block and a crank. So unlike any other form of motorsports, it's not a whole lot of R&D that goes into our engines. We just pour more nitro and more blower and send it and make sure you got good parts and they're put together right. But, yeah, it was a huge undertaking, but something that I've been around long enough and felt confident enough that I had those relationships there to put it together. My dad point blank said, "Look, if you're going to do it and do it right," and put me in complete control of the operation. So in 3 months, we assembled the entire team from started with a credit card, a checkbook, and a pen and a cell phone. And we show up at Dallas with an entire fuel car racing rig ready to go, 2 trucks, 2 trailers, cars, all the guys, all the pieces, all the parts, and went out and qualified and ran well.
That's an awesome story. I mean, in 3 months' time.
3 months.
That's amazing. I mean, most people can't put together anything in 3 months, much less a Top Fuel team. I mean, that's just an amazing story. Now, we had the new season, and you came in. Okay, first of all, you've won 6 Wallies now, and this is going to be your year because we're interviewing you to go and win
Awesome. I hope so.
But so, how amazing was that though? Did you win your first Wally with your team or with the other team?
I won my first race in Top Fuel with my own team, and we started. We won Atlanta of 2012, which was like the 5th or 6th race of the season. And then that year we ended up going to 5 finals and winning 3 races. So our first full campaign season with our own fuel team, we we ran very, very well and kind of set the bar high for a freshman year, you know. But it's just a true testament to the hard work and the dedication that it takes to make these things go, and the people that you put in place to make it happen.
What was the neatest thing about changing cars from a top alcohol to a fuel car the first time you drove it? What was you like? Was it the burnout, the noise, the way it pulls? What was it?
There's so many things that are just a little bit different from the A fuel car to the fuel car. And I remember the first 2 passes. I made 4 passes that day, and the first 2 it smoked the tires about 300 foot. And then the next pass we still raced a quarter mile at that time, and I went 470, I think 477 at 310 or 312 on the first hit. And I remember I'd already built this thing up to be a monster. It just was going to tear my face off when I left. Well, it left the line, and I could feel it pull the wheels and set them down and start going. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this isn't really that bad. And then about 300 foot, 2 seconds into the run, I'm thinking, you know, this is borderline terrible and terrifying, and what in the crap have I talked myself into? And it kept going further and further and further, and we got to the quarter mile, and I plugged the chute, stepped off the button, and I'm coasting down through there, slowing the car down around the corner, and it's just so many mixed emotions. Like, I just wanted to kind of cry because it was scary, but we got to go get it ready and do this again because it's the most cool thing I've ever done. So my dad got to the end of the track, and I was like, we got to do this again and fast. This is awesome. So
Was he that excited too?
yeah, he was, you know, and I think my dad was excited. My mom was crying. She was scared for me, but, you know, it's looking back on that day, I can't help but laugh and smile and just be completely excited about it, because that's 23 years of dreaming and wanting and trying and striving to get to that level, and then you're there and you're doing it, and you're like, I'm a licensed top fuel driver. I'm gonna go racing now.
But let's talk a little bit about the changes that were made. NHRA moves over to Fox TV, Fox Sports, and they have new hosts and all that. What was your take on how they did? I thought they did a very good job the first time out of the hole, first show of the season, first time with Fox. But what was your perception of it?
I think they did a great job. I'm really excited about Fox and Fox Sports 1 coming in and doing it, because nothing against ESPN, but I think it was just kind of a little bit played out and repetitive. So I was very pleased with the first outing, the first coverage, because they did a really good job. I think the graphics package, the way that they're fading in and out of the shows, and just the whole dynamic was better. It was more appealing to the fan, to the actual viewer that's not a diehard drag racing fan that may or may not know everything about it. So I think it was very informative, very well put together, and I think that throughout this year it will do nothing but continue to get better.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that that it could have been a lot worse coming in the first big event like that, and all the coverage that they did throughout the weekend.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the camera angles, the footage, the behind the scenes stuff, the little snippets that get in the pits and get involved with the drivers, I think that builds a relationship with different drivers, with different aspects of what's going on in the racing network and in the racing world that day, as opposed to just showing lap after lap after lap and talking about it. You actually get up close and personal with some of the drivers, and you get to see what's going on in the pits too, which is a whole nother side of what we're doing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that, as a personal opinion, that it'll help if the NHRA got a little more edgier and had a little more like battles between the drivers and stuff, or what's your opinion on that?
You know, I mean, we've had some meetings and discussed just exactly this, where, you know, drivers need to battle and this. I mean, I don't have a beef or anything with anybody out there. I mean, yeah, I want to beat that guy just as bad as the next guy, and when I put my helmet on, I hate you more than I hate anybody, because I'm there to kick your butt. But I don't have a personal beef with anyone there. So I'm not going to make something out of nothing and just do it for TV. That's one thing that I try to pride myself on, is just being me and speaking from the heart. And if I don't like you, I don't like you, and I'm not going to pretend to. And if I do, I'm not going to pretend that I don't. So I have a lot of good friends out there and a lot of respect. But, you know, we're not out here. This is an entertainment business. This is what we're racing. We're putting on a good show. But I'm not going to act like I got a problem with you if I don't. You know, so I'm not going to.
That's what makes some of the shows are so fake, is the trying to force an issue. So that's a good stance.
Yeah, it is. But I'm also not going to sit here and act like I'm your buddy when I'm not. So if I don't like you, I'm not going to go out of my way to say bad things about you, but I'm not going to act like I like you. So
you just may bust their ass in the first round.
I may try to bust your ass in the first round and let you know that I busted your ass in the first round. But, you know, it's. I think you can make a mountain out of a molehill there, but there's certain drivers that you definitely get a little more enjoyment kicking their ass than you do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so big news announced this last week. Mike Dunn being the CEO, or I mean not the CEO, but the president of IHRA. There was a neat interview where they're talking about doing different things, and Top Fuel's coming back to IHRA. Is that something y'all would entertain doing some of their races?
You know, that would just have to kind of play out and see what's going on there. Our main focus is the Mellow Yellow Drag Racing Series, 24 races, and that Mellow Yellow Championship. I mean, I'm really good friends with Clay Milliken. The guy's won more championships and the most dominant driver in IHRA ever. And the competitiveness, the competition level in NHRA is heads above that. And it's fun to race these things, but we got a full-time job racing 24 of them. So, no, I probably wouldn't go over there and race IHRA unless I could make some money doing it. But we're NHRA Mellow Yellow drag racers here.
Okay, very cool. That's a great answer, because I'm sure there's people wanting to know if there's going to be big changes over there with Mike Dunn coming over there. Is that some people may choose to do that, and
right.
They've talked about 1,000-foot, you know, being every class being that and all that stuff, and moving to that. So it was just my personal interest was, would y'all do that or not? So great answer there. What do you think about losing him as a commentator and, you know, him going over there?
You know, Mike did a great job over the years with ESPN. I'm kind of glad to have somebody fresh and new in there. It's been a long time since Mike Dunn's been in a race car.
Yeah.
So some of the things that he would say I felt were a little dated. And Tony P is a good friend of mine, and we've had some business dealings back and forth with selling some stuff and helping keep him going. I know some of the guys that work over there on that car, so I have a good relationship there, and I feel like Tony was a little rusty there on the first showing, but I think he'll continue to get better and do a really good job, and I was pleased to see him there, and I think that it's great that he has the opportunity to do that, and I feel like he's a good ambassador for the sport, and he'll do a good job in the booth with Dave Reef.
Oh, very good. Okay. So going into the 2016 season, goal is to win the championship, obviously, as is any. What is your where are you at as far as this next race, and what's the anticipation going into the next race of the season this weekend?
You know, I have a meeting every Sunday morning with all my crew guys. I bring them in there, and even when I get there on Thursday night or Friday morning, and what we focus on is every lap, and you can't get too far ahead of yourself, or you'll start tripping over your own self. And so we focus on doing everything we can exactly perfect that lap, and then worry about the next one after that. So when you go up there and you want to go low ET for every session, you want to pick up every bonus point that you possibly can, and you want to win every round that you possibly can. So at the end of the year, that championship, all those points, they take care of yourself because you've been focusing on the little stuff, and at the end you've already built, you can build that championship trophy one one matchstick at a time, or however you want to say it, you know?
Yeah, kind of like if a football team looks too far ahead, they look to the next team, then they don't focus on the team in front of them.
Yeah,
So.
and if you start skipping those steps and looking at the next goal and the next goal, well, you get way too far ahead of yourself. And what we're trying to do is go out and be the quickest and fastest car every lap. And if you can do that, you're going to leave there at the end of the year with that championship trophy.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate the time. Thanks for letting me come out to your house. It's a beautiful place and neat to be out and nice to have a top fuel team in the state, basically. You know, even though you're headquartered here, but your shop is in Indy, we still consider you a Texas racer.
Yeah, I'm a Texas boy through and through, and I'm not going to Indy. I just run my race shop out of there. So I told him the other day, Schumacher, you know, he got out of Chicago and moved down here as quick as he could. We'll let him be a transplanted Texan, but he'll never be a true one.
Yeah, right. All right, man. I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.